think this is an unprecedented event. This is the International Association of Chiefs of Police. It's the state and provincial. So this is all the state police colonels in the country, the 49 states, including Alaska. Hawaii doesn't have one. We have the Canadian provinces, and then we have Puerto Rico. And what we've come together on this particular day with the Secretary of Transportation is that how do we make a difference? When you look at traffic crashes in the United States, there's over 33,000 of them. It is like the 11th leading cause of death in the United States. It's the #1 leading cause of death for our teenagers. Why aren't we doing more about it? Because when you look at that, each one of those deaths, they have a face, they have a family, they have a life, they have a vision for a future. And that vision for a future wasn't dying in an automobile crash. How can we make a difference as superintendents? And when we can sit there and so no matter where you're driving, whether it's in Louisiana, whether it's in Arkansas, whether it's in Texas, California, up in the state of Washington, up in the state of New York and Maine and Montana and Florida, everybody's going to be committed to make a difference. Whether it's education, whether it's mentoring, it's truly about partnerships, but it's also about aggressive enforcement, because we're going to tell people, you know, wear your seatbelts. It's the safest thing you can do when you're in the side of a car. Aggressive drivers, driving in excess of the speed limit, those tailgating, those things that cause crashes. We want to make a difference, because you know that one death you save, you don't get to pick who that is. We don't know who it's going to be. So if we can make a difference, and we set a lofty goal of 15%, if we can make a difference at 10%, at 12%, right now in Louisiana, we're just below a 14% reduction for the year. That's a great thing, but we know we can do better. We know that each one of those individual lives that we save, it's somebody. And we want to make a difference in Louisiana, and that's what we have here today, bringing this 45 colonels from around the country together to say, you know what, we wear a different uniform, we wear a different badge, but we're committed to public safety, we're committed to saving lives. This morning, I'm joined on stage, of course, with Secretary Anthony Foxx, the newly appointed Secretary of the Department of Transportation for the United States, Kendall Poole, Chairman of the Governor Highway Safety Committee for the United States, Peter Corns, General Chair of the State Association of Chiefs of Police, and Chief Yost Zachary, the International Association of Chiefs of Police President for our organization. 44 states, our Canadian partners from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Ontario Provincial Police, and we have commissioners from Tennessee, Minnesota, and South Dakota. I'm Colonel Mike Edmondson. I'm the Superintendent of Louisiana State Police. Just a couple of comments to talk about our Drive to Save Lives campaign. I want you to think about something. The 12th leading cause of death in the United States, the #1 leading cause of death for our teenagers. 33,000 individuals plus lost their lives in the United States last year. And let me tell you something. Every one of those individuals, they had a face. Every one of those individuals had a family. Every one of those individuals had a vision for a life, a future. And I can tell you, that vision did not include dying in an automobile crash. These colonels that stand up here behind me, they've done something that we don't like to do. We've all had to do it, and that's make a death notification. To go to somebody's house and knock on that door in the middle of the night and tell them that somebody's not coming home. That's a tough thing to do. To walk into a house, to talk to a husband and wife, a mother or dad, a family member, to look in their eyes and tell them someone's not coming home. Crashes in the United States are preventable. We know that. What we're committed, and what's unprecedented today, as 44 colonels stand here in front of you, to tell you that we're committed from the state of Washington to the state of Maine, to the state of California and Florida, and all points in between. We set a lofty goal. It's 15%. We want to reduce the number of crashes on our highways that result in death by 15%. That's a lofty goal. But you know what? When we can save one life, you don't get to pick who that life is. But we can make that one change, and we can do everything we can, committed, whether it's aggressive enforcement, data-driven enforcement in the United States, whether it has to do with education and mentoring. What we're telling you here today is from a partnership perspective. From our states, from our federal partners, we stand committed to do everything we can as you drive across the state to make our highways safe and conducive to saving lives. 15% is a lofty goal. We believe it's attainable. We believe we can do everything we can to make a difference in a human life. I'm proud to call on the Secretary of Transportation, Anthony Foxx, to say a couple of words, because it takes that partnership from the federal level, the commitment from his office to put the tools in our toolboxes to give us the resources to truly make a difference. Secretary Foxx.
Thank you, Colonel. Thank you, Colonel, and our entire team here today is excited to be a part of this announcement and this event. And we join with the International Association of Chiefs of Police and so many leaders in law enforcement, without whom we could not do what President Lyndon Johnson stated that our department had as its top priority, which is to ensure that however people travel in the United States of America, that they are safe. I want to tell you, Colonel Edmondson, that your phenomenal leadership on this Drive to Save Lives campaign is appreciated by our department. And I'm joined here today with Ann Farrow, who is the administrator of the Federal Motor Carriers Division of the Department of Transportation, as well as the acting administrator for NHTSA, David Friedman. And so I'd like to tell you that on behalf of our entire team, we stand behind you. We will continue to work with you, and we will do everything we can together to ensure that you not only meet your goal, but we hope to exceed it. So thank you very much, and it's good to be with you.
I'd like to call on the President of the International Association of Chiefs of Police, Chief Yost Zachary.
Thank you. Thank you, Colonel Edmondson. I heard what you said, and it really strikes the heart. I want to thank a couple of people here, of course. This wouldn't have been possible without Secretary Foxx. Thank you for being here today. I know how tight your schedule is. DOT's partnership is essential to the success. New Acting Administrator Friedman and Administrator Farrow, it's always a pleasure, and we thank you very much. Your involvement is instrumental into the success and how we will continue to save lives throughout this great country. It's my privilege and honor to be with you today and to launch this campaign. A campaign that we will see results, and a campaign that'll be one less officer, deputy, trooper that will have to make that notification telling them, as you heard Colonel Edmondson say, your loved one will not be coming home tonight. Another element of this campaign, and one that is very personal to me, is officer safety. That's been one of the most important facets of my presidency, and I want to continue that. We still, unfortunately, have traffic-related incidences, and they're the leading cause of line-of-duty death of our police officers across the United States and throughout the world. Last year, 46, I repeat, 46 police officers were killed on our roadways. This represents more than 40% of all of the line-of-duty death that occurred this past year. Equally troubling is the fact that the number of officers are struck while they're doing their work, enforcing the laws, directing traffic. We have got to reduce that number to zero. We have to strive. I know they have a 15% goal, which is great. As I heard Colonel Edmondson say a couple of things, and I want to speak from the heart for a minute, deviate from my speech. As a father of 2 young daughters who drive our highways, going back and forth to college, it's a big fear. It's a big thought process. And I know that, like we heard said, over 33,000 got that phone call or got that visit last year. So I applaud the troopers. I applaud everybody in law enforcement. I applaud the administration for encouraging us and helping us reduce that by at least 15%. Because if we continue to move in that direction, we can really make a significant difference. I believe we can do this in a number of ways. We must do this through education, which I've seen great strides. We must do this through training of our officers and training of our drivers. And then lastly, but a very valuable tool, while no one wants to use enforcement, enforcement is essential. Enforcement, if all else fails, is something that I want to encourage officers across the United States to use. I'd like to, in closing, thank our state and highway patrol leaders and our federal partners for this unified effort. By expanding and strengthening this, we will see results. We will be successful in reducing the number of fatalities in 2014 and the years to come. This is very important to IACP because it does make a difference in the lives of the men and women that serve us and in the men and women whom we protect, the citizens of this great country. Colonel Edmondson, thank you for the great work you have done. It is obvious a lot of work went behind the scenes. I want to thank you because it's not easy to get this many important people in the same audience at the same time. Thank you.
The Secretary will be here for any questions y'all might have when we break. I want to end in this. You know, as a former mayor, I believe he gets public safety. I know he does. Secretary Fox did not have to be here this morning. Busy schedule, a lot going on around this country. He is here this morning because he wants to be here. He's committed to saving lives in the United States. He's committed to making sure the tools and resources are available to our public safety agencies around this country. He's committed to making a difference. And as we think about that human life, if we think about that face, if we think about that vision of a future and of a life, we stand committed today as partners from our federal perspective and our state perspective and from our Canadian partners to making a difference, to reducing that one person's life, to giving that face a vision for a future. Thank you all very much for being here. Thank you.
What's going on here today is we have a concerted effort. All the states have combined with Colonel Edmondson in a national campaign to reduce traffic fatalities by 15%. It's a big number. It's going to save a whole bunch of lives. And in our opinion, meaning everybody from state police agencies all over the country, too many people are dying on the roads. They're doing nothing wrong. They're not being malicious. These are crashes that can be avoided, that can be prevented. And we have people that are innocent and just going to work, going home, going to school, and they're losing their lives. So we're going to make a concerted effort to really focus on safety, safety of the traveling, motoring public, of commuters, of students, and certainly of police officers and state troopers too.
If you're not careful, states could actually work in a silo. And what we're doing here is reaching out to each other. I'm taking things that Colonel Edmondson does here in your great state, bringing them to California. He's learning from us. We're learning from our partners, our corporate partners, and really under that one goal of saving lives. So really what you're seeing is this cooperation, spirit, enthusiasm, trying to reduce fatalities in the United States.
First of all, it shows a unified front, that we're all focused on this together. It's not New York worrying about our New Yorkers because, you know, we have tourists from everywhere that pass through. It's all of us saying it's the same message. We want to slow people down. You know, who dies in car accidents? My troopers die, our citizens die. It's not like your behavior is going to lead to it. You could be driving down the road when some other person, you know, with bad driving habits causes an accident. So it's kind of important that we all say we all have a role in this. You know, and that's the message here, that it's one unified message.
Colonel Edmondson mentioned that the goal for us is 15%. Is that California's goal as well?
It is. It is the national goal between all of the colonels and commissioners. Very ambitious goal, but we believe that if we try really, really hard and people do what we ask them to do, the goal is achievable. But if we fall short, hopefully we'll still save a lot of lives, and that's really what it's all about, is save those lives, and that's what we're shooting for.
30 years ago, we had issues where nobody wore seatbelts, and we did a tremendous education campaign. And when that didn't, you know, fully adhere, we did enforcement, and then we went back to education, and now we're plus 90% with people wearing seatbelts, and it saves lives. So I think if you keep on the message, you keep saying it to people, you keep showing them that eventually they get it.
The reduction we have so far is about aggressive enforcement. It's about educating the public. It's about letting them know that we're going to be out there, and we want to be out there, number one, to make sure that everyone